My name is Tom Yeager, Air Force retired. I entered active duty in 1991 where I was enlisted. I was security forces from 1991 to 1994. And after that, I went to college and got a commission where I was awarded a navigator slot. So I knew the only cool thing to do as a navigator was be in the backseat of a fighter. There was only one of them, and that was the F-15E Strike Eagle, so that was my goal and my mission. After a year and a half of training in Pensacola, Florida, achieved that goal and went to Alaska as what they call a weapons system officer, not a navigator. At that point, did the best job I could at that and was awarded a pilot slot, so I went all the way back through training, starting from square one with no guarantees I'd get a fighter. But blessed as I was, my roommate and I, out of 32 students, were ones that were awarded fighter jets on graduation night. So we were roommates, we studied together, and he was an MIT grad, so I studied off his brain. So went to fighter school, and it took about 2 years to get qualified in the F-15 Strike Eagle, and then I was off to the races. A couple deployments. At that point, I achieved my goal, my lifelong goal of becoming a fighter pilot since I was a little boy. Actually, I wanted to be a race car driver, but that didn't happen because my name's not Petty, Andretti, or all the above. But fighter pilot was pretty good in my books. So I kind of peaked and knew I had to keep climbing and keep achieving, keep reaching for higher goals. So I applied for an exchange and was accepted to fly with the U.S. Navy and was sent to Fallon, Nevada, where Top Gun is at, and I became a adversary pilot for the Air Wing and for the Top Gun school. So I was the bad guy that ruined everybody's days you see in Top Gun, Jester, that flew the MiGs. And I had the honor of instructing Navy SEALs out there to deploy ordnance as a close air support instructor. From there, went back to the F-15, got requalled, and again, keep reaching, keep climbing. I was selected to work for Air Force One as advance agent. So for 3 years, I traveled all around the world with Air Force One, Air Force Two, with the president and vice president. Went back to the Air Force as fighter pilot, and then finished out my career, 5 deployments, and 352 combat missions, and 23 years. As many of you might have experienced or might not have experienced yet, when we join the military, it's full speed ahead. It's pedal to the metal. It's giving your all to the mission, striving to do your best, achieving your goals, all the above, education, bettering yourself, and it goes fast. 23 years was I can't believe when I look back on it how quick it went, but that 23 years was done, and I found myself, and I remember boyhood dreams since I was very young. I wanted to be a fighter pilot, race car driver. So I found myself leaving Afghanistan, my 5th deployment, and I processed and retired on paper, but I was on terminal leave for 3 months. And I hopped in my car, sent my family back on airplanes to the East Coast. We were in the West Coast, and hopped in my truck and I started driving, and I still had my flight suit on with all my patches, and the car was loaded up, and I was driving up over the Truckee Mountain in California, and I got caught in a snowstorm, and I got out and I said to myself, wow, I'm done, it's over. So I was like, I went into the restaurant, I said, I guess I got to take this flight suit off. And at that point you lose a big piece of you, because that's your identity. That's what you wore, your uniform, for whether it be 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, 23 years, your whole life. So when you take that off without the soft landing, I call it, that the military, the VA should be doing for all of us, it's eye-opening. So I had about 3 days long drive to think about that. Once I got home, got busy with the holidays, and then I was off to airline training with JetBlue Airways. I had a very difficult time. In my 20 plus years of flying, I never had failed a check ride. I never stumbled in aviation, and I struggled. I struggled to sleep. I struggled to focus, and I began to fall behind, which made me work harder because I was always the type to get into books and know everything. And that wasn't the case with the airline training. They want you to know bits and pieces so they could get you through in a month, where it wouldn't be expensive like Air Force training where you got to learn an airplane and you had a year. So I fell behind and I failed my first check ride, which put me in definitely a tailspin, and it was eye-opening to the fact that I was vulnerable. So looking back on that, as I then got back on the horse or the wagon, did well on the follow-on check ride. Once I got certified as a commercial pilot, I had time to think and wrap my head around all this, and began to wonder if I made the right decision, because I really missed the mission. I missed the camaraderie. I missed the reliability of the guy to your left and right, knowing that you would die for your friend or your battle buddy, or they would do the same for you. And the biggest struggle for me was adapting to the civilian way of life, the reliability, the laziness of our population, the non-focus on mission or objectives. Because as a pilot, every mission we had objectives, and we flew to those objectives, we briefed to them, and we debriefed to them. I found it was way different in the civilian life, that I had felt that my job as a commercial pilot was number one, to be safe, get the mission done, was to fly mom, dad, children, business, to where they're going. But that was it. So I wanted more. And I said to Jamie, I referenced the movie American Sniper a lot, because in the movie Chris Kyle, he had that yearning to go back. Even when he was home with his family, he had that yearning to go back where you felt important. So you had that, and that's where I felt important. I felt that I could make decisions that were life and death, make important decisions. Some of the missions I was involved in were extremely important, and you missed that. And I feel that the transition program in the military really lacks the ability to transition people like us, people like anybody that might have been in for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, and get them going in the right direction. After JetBlue for a year, I went on to American Airlines, which I wanted to be in the first place, and flew for them for 5 years. At what point, overnight, I became unable to hold my flying medical due to a disease that I got called rheumatoid arthritis. It attacks your joints. So again, the highs and lows, ups and downs. I now hit another down as I was grounded, and I didn't know who I was going to be anymore. So I've been now 4 years without an identity, if you will. I lost my dad. I lost my flight suit first. You know, I had the airline uniform on with the epaulets. I lost that. So I call it, taking off your jersey. If anyone has ever played sports, when you step off that field or the court for the last time in your high school career or college career, it's very similar. You miss those days. I still miss those days playing under the Friday night lights. But those are learning points, and it's life. And you have to know that it's challenging and it's complicated. So what I did personally is I said, well, my whole life I was driven to keep achieving, and fall off the cliff, and achieve, fall off the cliff. And I said, well, gosh darn it, I'm not going to fall off the cliff, and I'm going to do something about it. So once I was physically getting better from my illness, I found that the outdoors was my place to heal. And I got back into what I loved doing as a boy, and getting back into lakes, getting back into streams, and getting back into woods. And there is no better place to heal than right out here to what God has given us. And for me, it's just not all about the hunt. And this is, from a boy, it was going out and getting your first deer or your turkey. But for me now, it's about connecting with nature, being a conservationist, watching a squirrel go down a tree and get nuts for the winter, watching the leaves turn, the smells, the sights, the sunsets, the sunrises, the beauty around us. For anybody that may be struggling with that, what I may have just spoke about now, you're not alone. Even myself, being a former fighter pilot, I don't care if you did 2 years, 4 years, whatever you did, and you're experiencing the kind of shock factor that I did, I'm with you. And I would say have a plan, because the military, Jamie and I talked about this before, is when you leave, they don't care. You are a vital part of the mission when you're there, but you're there for the mission, and that's all part of it, and we understand that. Well, maybe we really don't, because we don't understand what's on the backside of that. But know that there are a lot of people out there, a lot of organizations to help, whether that be the VA, whether it be organizations like Camp Freedom, or the DAV, or the VFW. There are so many people that want to help you make a soft landing. So help you adjust to the shock factor of leaving the mission for civilian life and transitioning. And it's not easy, but have a plan. Have a plan when you're on active duty, and I suggest having a, you know, if you're a year out, 6 months out, start thinking about it, because I was not prepared, and I got to be totally honest. Driving up that mountain in my flights when I took that off, it was definitely the shock of my life. So, but coming here to places like this, people want to help, and what I have found so humbling to be is there are a lot of people out there who never served, who understand our struggles and are here to help. So speak up, and don't do it alone.